Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and this is Raspberry Reads. Today I thought I would do a new type of video and I was thinking about books that I have really enjoyed and then in terms of people's personal preferences, I've recommended them to other people and they just didn't get on with them, and that's okay, because the whole point is that there are lots of different books out there for different tastes. But I thought I would look through Goodreads, where I catalog all of my reading, and look at the books where I gave, for the most part, 5 stars for the book, and then looked at the average rating and the number of ratings to see where my views are not aligning with the views of other Goodreads users. And therefore, I've compiled my first list of underrated books. So this is just my opinion that some of these books either I feel deserve a higher rating than what they've been rated, or they're just underappreciated, that there aren't as many ratings as I would have expected. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. And as always, if you've read any of these books, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. So the first book is Unsettled Ground by Claire Fuller. And this is a contemporary book. I suppose it's literary fiction. And it's basically about a family who are struggling financially. And it's a brother and sister, if I remember correctly, and they're older, and just the struggles that they face after their elderly mother passes away. And this is set in England, and as I mentioned, it's contemporary, and it was a really good character study, and it reflected some of the hidden hardships that people face in modern society, in modern Britain. I gave Unsettled Ground 4 stars. I really liked Claire Fuller's writing style. Contemporary fiction is not something that I normally gravitate towards, so for me to be recommending this book means that I think it just did a really good job with character portrayal and writing. So yes, as I mentioned, I gave it 4 stars. On Goodreads, the average rating is 3.78, which is not too far off 4 stars. But there were only 16,185 ratings. And I just feel that this book came out, I think, in around 2021. And I would have expected it to have more ratings than that by now. So this is my recommendation to you, that if you haven't read Unsettled Ground, then I would suggest that you give it a try. The next book is a thriller, and it's called Girl A by Abigail Dean. And this book was really unsettling. It was about a family, children who were abused in their home, and then how they're reflecting on their past life as adults and connecting to each other. And it was incredibly sad, incredibly moving. And yeah, I was just really engrossed in the story. I say thriller, but it was, there were some aspects that seemed more like horror, to be honest. I gave Girl A 4 stars, and it has a rating of 3.63 on Goodreads with 86,803 ratings. And that, again, that's not too far off, but I just feel that it is an underrated book. I haven't heard anybody else talk about Girl A on BookTube. It did come out a few years ago, but it still really sticks with me. And so if you like that type of dark thriller, with the caveat that there are, loads of trigger warnings with that book, then yeah, I would suggest that you try it out. And let's see if we can get that rating a little bit higher for Abigail Dean's writing. The next book is one that I've spoken about on my channel lots of times. This was one of the first books that I read for my book club several years ago. This is The 7 or 8 Deaths of Stella Fortuna by Juliet Grams. This book is historical fiction. It's not multi-generational, but it does cross from being in Italy, I believe, to the United States, set in, I think, post-Second World War into the sort of 50s, 60s. And it was a really good family history. I thought Juliet Grams' writing was really good. It's the only book I believe that she's written. I think she's a journalist, or in some other sort of, tangential industry. And yeah, I would love to read something else by her. I always recommend this book to anybody who likes to read historical fiction. It has a lot of really good characters, great female characters, very empowered. I gave it 5 stars, and it only has 3.95 as a rating on Goodreads and only 18,844 ratings. So again, this is another one that is underappreciated and overlooked. I think if more people read it, that rating would probably be higher. Okay, so the next book, I think we're on number 4, is Solar by Ian McEwan. I love Ian McEwan's writing. I read Atonement recently, and his writing style just clicks with me, and I think it doesn't work for everybody. So I gave Solar 5 stars, and it had a rating of 3.29 with 28,744 ratings. So that is a big difference, right? My 5 star is not the same thing as 3.29. And I'm struggling to figure out why that is. I haven't gone through and looked at all the comments because I just wanted to go into this sort of unbiased, but, or with my own bias and not affect my thoughts on this too much from what other people have written. But I like Ian McEwan's writing style. And I liked that the main character, whose name escapes me, but he's a physicist, he's just such an unlikable character. And that's what I enjoyed about the book. It was such a car crash of a character study. Could he make his life any worse? That I just gobbled it up. I thought it was fantastic. I was laughing out loud at certain points. And I'm still really puzzled as to why I enjoyed that book so much and other people didn't. So if you've read Solar, please let me know your thoughts, because am I missing something as to why people didn't like this book? I don't know. Okay, the next book is The Liar's Dictionary by Eley Williams. I couldn't be bothered to get all my hard copies because I don't have hard copies of all of these. So The Liar's Dictionary is still sitting on my bookshelf, which means that it's a book that I've read and enjoyed enough to keep, because I don't keep all the books that I read. I gave it 4 stars, and the average rating is 3.36 with only 10,530 ratings. Again, this came out, we're probably looking at 5-7 years ago, something like that. And it is a dual timeline, contemporary, and I want to say the 1930s, but I could be mistaken about that. All about the publication of a dictionary. And the beginning bit of the book could really put somebody off. I remember thinking oh my goodness, am I going to get through this? Because it was all about etymology and linguistics, and how we use words and how words are used in the dictionary. And it just didn't really work. I understand why that preface was put in, but it did not grip me. But I really enjoyed the story. I liked that there was queer representation in it. I liked that there was a little bit of a mystery. The writing was pretty good. It was a little bit overly complicated, flowery at times, but that's just the nature of the topic of the book, being dictionary, right? So yeah, I think this might be another one where it's just been overlooked a little bit. And so if you like books about words, books that have multiple timelines, then I would suggest trying the Liar's Dictionary. Yeah, okay, so my next book is another one that I've spoken about before. It's an author that I talk about all the time, and this is Tracy Chevalier's At the Edge of the Orchard. This is not one of her well-known books. I'd never heard of it until it just popped up as an audiobook on Libby, and I really liked it. I thought it was such a good historical fiction. It was set in middle America in the mid to late 1800s, sort of like pioneering era. And it's just a story about a really unpleasant family, like really toxic family dynamics, and the struggles they face, and then had sort of later timelines where one of the sons goes off and does like rare tree specimen, plant specimen collecting for wealthy people in England. That's obviously very much my like personal interest, you know, historical botanical exploration and that sort of thing. But I liked that aspect of the book. But the thing I liked the most was the awfulness of the characters. Yeah, I still think about I can't remember the lady's name, but the main female character in it. So yes, I gave At the Edge of the Orchard 4 stars, and it has a 3.67 rating and 22,437 ratings. So again, I think if there was a little bit of a resurgence in interest or popularity in this book, that I think that star rating would go up a little bit. Number 7 is a book that came out quite some time ago, and apologies, I don't have the date. This is a Canadian modern classic, I guess you would call it, is The Jade, Peony by Wayson Choy. I had not heard of this book before I started looking into sort of well-known or well-respected books set in British Columbia, which is where I'm from. And it was just a really good story. It's about Chinese immigrants in Vancouver during the 40s, I think. I can't remember the exact time period, but there was a lot of discourse about family and tradition. I'm pretty sure there was a section about the building of the railways, which is a really important part of Chinese history in Canada. And I gave this book 4 stars. I thought the writing was beautiful, and it has 3.72 ratings. That's not too far off, but only 5,549 ratings. So this is definitely an overlooked book. And I think that comes down to it being slightly older, that it came out well before Goodreads, and has sort of just been overlooked in that sense, that it's not a classic and it's not a new release. So this is my plea to you, that if you're looking to diversify your reading, maybe you want to try some Canadian literature, that I would suggest reading The Jade, Peony. Number 8 is The Reader by Bernhard Schlink. I think that's how you pronounce it. This book was all over the place when I was younger, and then the film came out with Kate Winslet. And I loved it. I loved the film. I loved the book. I gave the book 5 stars. It's a difficult topic because it is about a woman who was a Nazi. But I just really enjoyed reading about the 2 main characters' relationship, however problematic it may have been. And I gave the book 5 stars. I think this is one that I'd like to revisit because I do wonder what I would rate it if I read it again today, because I read this book, I don't know, what is time? Maybe 15, 20 years ago now. But yeah, so at the time I gave it 5 stars. It only has a 3.78 rating with 222,366 ratings. So despite its popularity in terms of how many people have read it, it is not very highly rated. So yes, if you've read The Reader and you did or didn't like it, please feel free to put your thoughts in the comments so that I can kind of refresh my memory about why I rated it so highly at the time. Number 9 is Flight Behaviour by Barbara Kingsolver. So I have mentioned before that this was the first book that I read by Barbara Kingsolver. I've now read Demon Copperhead, and even though I've only read those 2 books, she is definitively one of my favorite authors, favorite writers. I just love her writing style. Her books are quite chunky, but I just appreciate her characters and her narratives very much. This book is set in, I believe it's the Appalachian area, as just like Demon Copperhead is, and it's about Della Robbia, I think the woman's name was, who is having a hard time in her sort of home life, and yeah, without giving too much away, basically there ends up being loads of monarch butterflies that are migrating and are on her property, and then this gets a lot of interest, including interest in biologists, entomologists, and you know, nothing really happens in the book. Like, there wasn't any crazy twists and turns. It was a very gentle book, but it was a good study of relationships, specifically about people who come from sort of different paths in life, very different socioeconomic brackets, different cultures, and how they interact. And it's also a good commentary on poverty in that area of the US. And yeah, so for that reason, I gave it 5 stars, and it had a 3.82 rating on Goodreads with 9,961. So lots of people, I would say, have read it, and it has a fairly low rating. So again, if you've read it, I'd be curious to know your thoughts as to why I enjoyed it. Definitely more than the average reader. Okay, moving on. We've got one more to talk about and then a bonus one. So the last one I wanted to talk about was Barkskins by Annie Proulx. I contemplated doing either Barkskins or The Shipping News. Both are by Annie Proulx. Both are in the similar category where I love them and their ratings are slightly lower. But we went with Barkskins. It is a chunky book. It's multi-generational. It covers the history of forestry in mostly North America, and the connections between indigenous communities there and colonialism and like colonizers. And I just found it fascinating. In a morbid sort of way, I liked how quickly and dismissively Annie Proulx just tackled different time periods where, you know, there were sort of loggers or people working on like log flumes, and like they would just all of a sudden die because of some horrible accident, or like the mills and then die in horrible accident. And it just paints a really kind of realistic picture of the high mortality rate in working in that industry. And I just found it really cool. I know my dad read it and he didn't get on with it. And so I guess similarly, so I gave it 5 stars. The average rating is 3.83 with only 19,843 ratings. And yeah, I think maybe Annie Proulx's writing might be a bit Marmite, because I love it, but her writing seems to be less highly rated than I would have expected. Once again, if you've got any thoughts on Annie Proulx or Barkskins, please feel free to chime in. Last but not least, and I think I had been listening to Shelley, watching one of her videos, Shelley-ish, which I can link her channel below for you. And she was talking about how she did not like this book. And it got me thinking, like, oh, I wonder what I rated it. So I'm talking about Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. I'm putting this as a bonus one because it's a classic and I read it such a long time ago that I feel like I need to read it again, because I gave it 5 stars. And now I'm wondering, was I being too generous? Because I don't remember very much about it. I remember enjoying it. From what I can recall, I was tutoring a student at the time who had to read it for his secondary school English class. And so because I was helping him with his like ESL work, I ended up reading the book at the same time. I thought it was good. I found it quite atmospheric and troubling, but yes, I guess what I'm trying to say is I gave it 5 stars. I think I want to revisit it to see if that 5 stars still holds up. The average rating was 3.89 with 2,700,000 and 714,000, and 49. It's a hard number to say. So yeah, lots of ratings because it's a classic, but not as highly rated as perhaps you would expect. So yeah, something new for today. Maybe I could do another video in reverse where the books that are the highest rated and that I have ranked the lowest, but that's a topic for another day. But yes, if you've read any of these books, or if you've had a similar experience where you've rated a book quite highly and then it actually has a very low rating or very few ratings on Goodreads, I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts about that. So yeah, that just leaves me to say that I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're enjoying whatever it is that you're reading, and I will see you soon in a new video. Take care. Bye.